We are beginning the actual class of Bhagavad Gita, the actual study of Bhagavad Gita. We are beginning today. And so, sorry, the spotlight is okay. So the actual class will begin today in terms of the shlokas, starting with the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So first, I've already given the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So just as we know, when we get into this first chapter, it has a lot of characters, meaning it is going to refer to a lot of characters, like the Pandavas, Kauravas, Bhishma, Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, and so on. A lot of these characters will keep coming. So technically, for us to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we don't need to know all the characters. But in order to understand the settings of Bhagavad Gita, some context of Mahabharata we need. So I've gone through a little bit of that in previous class, but just briefly I will mention. And then we will look at the first shloka, which comes in in the first chapter we will look at, and the first shloka. So the first chapter is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the dilemma of Arjuna, or the despondency of Arjuna. That is a translation of that. Vishada means some kind of a grief, some kind of anxiety, some kind of a dilemma. So, which all of us go through some dilemma in our life. At some point or the other, we are faced with major dilemmas. But on a daily basis, also, we go through several dilemmas. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I spend my time with studies, meditations, or should I spend my time looking for some revenue, some income? So all these are different dilemmas all of us keep facing throughout our life. So this is the same question that is answered, that is addressed. That's how the setting is for the Bhagavad Gita. So in the first aspect, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we see that before the teachings begin, the actual teachings begin, we have to understand this context. So very briefly, the main two parties who have come here for the war, the Mahabharata war, it is called. So the setting of the thing is now there is a war that has been called upon between mainly Pandavas and Kauravas. Pandavas are, we can say, as the good guys, and the Kauravas are the bad guys. So the war is between good and evil. So why they're called good, why they're called bad is mainly because the Pandavas follow the way of Dharma and Kauravas don't follow the way of Dharma. So what is Dharma? We will look a little bit into. But in terms of the context of the war, so what is happening is that uh, Vyasa establishes this Bhagavad Gita in the Mahabharata text, as I've already mentioned. So the Mahabharata is a long epic kind of a prose or a poetry. In that story, it comes this teachings of Mahabharata. So it is called the Bhishma Parva, the book 6, and the chapters 23 to 40. And this forms the setting. So where is it? Where is the teaching? Is it the teaching is some forest or in some guru's ashram, or is it in some kind of a institution or educational institution? No, the teaching is given on the battlefield. Symbolic reference to the daily battlefield all of us go through. So the place is called Kurushetra. It's a place here in India, northern side near Haryana. So this place is actually the setting of the battlefield where both the armies gather together for the war. So the Pandavas mainly are led by Yudhishthira, who is the first of the five brothers. He is the first of the five brothers. And the Kauravas are mainly driven by Duryodhana, but he's not their commander. Starting in the beginning, Bhishma is the commander, and there are others like Dronacharya, who is the guru of all these, both Pandavas and Kauravas. So this setting we have to understand. And so what is Krishna doing in this? Krishna is the charioteer of Arjuna. Hmm. So there is a small story about this, that one time just before the war, people were taking sides, like who will go with which side. Because many people were involved. This is the great war, like sometimes we know, like some nation is fighting a war, other nations are allies, right? They join that. Similarly, many allies had joined Pandavas and Kauravas. So there is at the time everybody was approached. You join my side. Some people didn't join any side, but most people, all major rulers, major warriors, they were all kind of made to participate in this great war. Sometimes, what today's context we can say world war. So like every nation or every thing in this country at least. In this large country at that time. They were all involved. They say like people came all the way from even Afghanistan and Burma and other countries. So a lot of those stories are there because India at that time was supposed to be huge. So all these people gathered and they took sides. So Krishna was approached, and Krishna, being a dharmic, trying to follow the way, he gave both of them an option. So the option was that one day he was lying in his bed, and the two people approached him, one from Pandavas and one from Kauravas side. So Arjuna represented Pandavas and Duryodhana represented Kauravas. So they came to him and they approached him. And they told, and so the rule was that when Krishna would open the eyes on the first person, then he would give them the whatever the wish there is. So it so happened that Arjuna came and sat near the feet of Krishna, and Duryodhana sat near his head. So when Krishna woke up, he first saw Arjuna because he was near his feet. But anyway, he nevertheless he because Duryodhana said I came first and all that. He said, "Okay, I'll give you the option." But I mean, actually, he gave Arjuna only that option. What do you want? First, whether you want all my warriors, Arjuna, Krishna had a lot of kingdom. All my people, they will fight on your side, or do you want me? I will fight. I mean, I won't fight. I will help. I will be like, like a counselor or a charioteer on one of the sides, and other people can have all my forces, all my armies. So in this, the Krishna Arjuna realized that he said that I don't want material welfare from the Krishna. So this is the what we say, right? The guru or the acharya is not the one who is there to give you material benefits. Anupakari. He's not here to help you with material things. But he wanted that Krishna to be on his side. So Arjuna said, "I choose you. I don't want your warriors." So then the warriors, all the kingdom, everything, they participated on Duryodhana's side, and Krishna participated on Arjuna's side as a charioteer. So there is two aspects to Krishna here. So Krishna is a charioteer, the individual helping Arjuna in this warrior. But there is another thing, which is what we say as Bhagavan Uvacha. The Lord said. So you will see this thing in everything. Everywhere it is said Arjuna Uvacha, and it is not said Krishna Uvacha. It is said as Bhagavan Uvacha in most of the things. The symbolic thing is that when he spoke, he didn't speak as his cousin or his friend or a charioteer. He spoke as the Lord Himself. He spoke from the context of a guru. And for our sake, He didn't speak just as any guru. Like all of us have gurus, or we'll have one guru or few gurus in our life, spiritually, who will help us in different paths, different areas of our life, in different times in our life. We can have different gurus. But those are individual gurus, personal gurus. But Krishna here represents a Jagat Guru, meaning he represented that guru who gave guidance to all the mankind, to humankind in this teaching. So that is that role that we will see of Krishna in this. So now, why does this background, what is the relevance of this? The relevance of this is that there is the questions that Arjuna poses in this battlefield is the question that all of us have to sometime or the other we will have this question on our spiritual path or in our life itself as general. The more we become introspective, the more we look into ourselves, we'll start having a lot of these kind of questions. So that questions that Arjuna had in this context represents our questions. In may not be in exact words, we may not have exact questions, but the dilemma we face will be the same dilemma Arjuna faced, same kind of challenges and questions he will have, and even to come out of it, that whole path that he gives, that 18 chapters, it is filled with lot of his questions and the answers that the Lord gives to guide him through this. Okay, and then there is the other characters which we will see in this, especially in the first one, which is one is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is technically the king, so he is blind. He is blind by birth, and he's the king of. He's the father of Duryodhana. So he's a king and he's supposed to be impartial, but he has a attachment, a bias towards his son, which we may say is natural, but it is not natural to a king. It is not natural to a king from the context of Indian dharmic life. So what happens because of his bias towards things, this whole war, he's not able to stop the war. If he wanted, he could have, but he's not able to because he's a king who is not set of like response. He's not like a somebody who is resolutely set on the path of dharma. Hmm? So he still is dealing with his attachments and his personal bias. Then there is Sanjaya. Sanjaya is actually the charioteer of the king, Dhritarashtra. So, because the king is not able to see and know what is happening in this war, Sanjaya is the narrator to the king and the narrator that Vyasa uses in the text. So, as the story goes, that Vyasa, who is the writer of this Upanishad, is of this Gita, is also a character in this story. He comes in and goes. So he comes to Dhritarashtra and tells him, you will not be able to know what happened. So I will give you the divine vision that sitting in your room, in your kingdom, you can see what's happening on the battlefield. So then Dhritarashtra says, I've never seen my children. I've never seen, and I don't want to see them now in case they die. So he says, instead, you give that divine vision to my charioteer so he can narrate to that. So there is a symbolic reference to that, which we will look at today. That all the characters have a symbolic reference. So, this is the basic context before we go into the shloka. There's one more point I will just mention that this whole kind of uh, story, that at the starting point at least, it is based beyond this fact that there's a conflict going on. The conflict here, as I mentioned, is that there is that dharma which everybody, the Pandavas are trying to follow. So the path of dharma has been violated by Duryodhana and the Kauravas. So they are not fighting here because they want to be superior kings. Hmm? Like generally, kingdoms in all countries, they were fought because they want more land, more wealth. So it is based out of desire and power and all that. Here, the battle is not about power or wealth. Hmm? The battle here is the battle for dharma. Hmm? Dharma. So, what is dharma? We will just briefly look at it because this word I will not be translating every time because It is one of those words which is very difficult to translate. So the just as how the word karma is used, so dharma also is a very important word, and in fact, in all of Indian different religions in India, each one use dharma in a different way, but the same theme is there. So what is this violation of dharma? Generally, some people sometimes call dharma as virtues, values, principles, or morals, moral values, and all that. But dharma goes beyond that. If it is just a value system, then what happens? Values have a lot of cultural component to them. So, for example, like if to give a little bit uh, light-hearted example, like if you are in the West, like normal, especially some countries, some advanced Western countries, there like you go somewhere, banks or anywhere, people are standing in line. So that is an inherent thing that you come and you stand in the line. In India, like if you are coming somewhere, that standing in line is only possible if there is some guard or somebody is there. So it is not considered adharma. Like it is not considered necessarily. People normally first will cut the line and go to the front. I mean, if there is a line at all, usually there's a mob, right? There's hardly any line. So here it is not adharma. It is nobody. Very virtuous people also will cut the line in India. But again, the context here is that is a cultural understanding, right? So that kind of value system is not what makes up dharma. But of course, dharma can manifest as that. If we are dharmic person, then we are conscious. We will not do things which violates others' thing. So the one of the principles of dharma is that it is said, and this is where the Arjuna's dilemma is coming. The one of the supreme rule of dharma is ahimso parama dharma. The highest dharma is ahimsa, it says, meaning you should not hurt others, you should not kill others, or you should think of others. So how does this come? Like for example, this is not necessarily that has to be taught to everybody, right? Generally, because if I am in a world, I don't want others to hurt me, I don't want others to kind of harm me in any way. And similarly, there is an inbuilt thing in me which tells me that if I don't want to be hurt and harmed by others, I shouldn't harm others also. So this is generally how the dharma is supposed to work, that there is a subtle innate understanding for man of what I need to do. Now this is a choice again, because this is not instinctive. Like for example, animals. You no matter if you have a pet cat, no matter how much you tell it, when it sees a bird, it will go after it and it may even kill it, right? So for it, it is not necessarily following dharma there, because it doesn't have a choice. It is going on instinct. For humans, there is this thing what we call as free will, right? The choice element is there. That small free will element, and that free will element manifests as dharma or adharma. So how does this free will come in? This free will is not based on like necessarily that you have learned somewhere. And so generally, dharma doesn't need to be learned. But unfortunately, because we have become so instinctive like animals, or self-dependent, like focused on self, we need to be taught again what is dharma. So this is where the part of Bhagavad Gita. It is called as two things. Bhagavad Gita is Shastra. We say, what is that Shastra? That Shastra means scripture. What scripture it is? We say, of course, it's yoga scripture, Brahma Vidya, Yoga Shastra. We say, but it is also a scripture that deals with dharma, path of virtuousness, and moksha. So it is Dharma Shastra, Moksha Shastra. But predominantly it Moksha Shastra. Why? Because it is based on moksha that people are following Dharma. It is not Dharma for Dharma's sake. So for religion, for example, many religions, some religions at least, they are focused only on the path of dharma. Like in India also, a large part of some darshanas, Nastika darshanas, Jainism, Buddhism, and to some extent Nayayikas and all that, they don't talk so much about moksha as the ultimate goal. They focus on dharma as the main goal. So, like if you look at the eight commandments in Buddhism, they are based on the right living, right conduct, so and all that thing, how to do the right things. So the actual path as such is based on dharma. um, but the goal can still be moksha. But in many Indian contemplative paths, the goal is moksha, and the path also is based for moksha. So dharma is just a means of that. So dharma is something that is used to get to the moksha. Okay, so now having put this now. Um, Okay, so the what is the how do we understand the dharma is that, so dharma, one more concept of dharma is that it is not just something we do for the sake of like that I have to do this so that I get merits, I get good virtues. It is also because that dharma is like it is like the force of prakriti or nature. Hmm? And how does this force works? It is, as we say, dharma eva hatho hanti, dharma rakshati rakshitaha. So the one who protects dharma is protected by dharma. And the one who doesn't follow dharma, does adharma, is destroyed by dharma. But this is not how a normal person sees life, right? Like if you ask a child, if you tell a child, like do good, don't lie, and all that, they will say, why other people are lying and they're getting away with that? What benefit do I get out of that? So that kind of benefit which we see from an action, that karma you do usually works on the basis of dharma for it to become the law of karma. So there is that force of dharma that holds all karmas. So when I do good, but that what happens here is that there is drishtapala, drishtapala. That what I see as the effect, and that what I don't see as the effect. So this is that missing part when I see, like like as one Western moral teacher, he I heard him say one time that he said that um, there is no such thing as people a non-lying person, meaning there is nobody who will not lie. He says, it is only like at what cost will they lie. So that is one kind of a perspective a Western philosopher was telling one time. So that is actually not the how we look at the one who is walking on the path of dharma. It is not like that if I'm paid a very high cost or something very high price, I will lie at the sake of it. A person who follows dharma is believing in an unseen result also. He's not just seeing the seen result. Like if I get $1 million, I will lie, cheat, and all that. Not like that. So here the person is seeing an unseen result, and he will say, I will not lie because there is an unseen result awaiting me. So now this, until here we stop. If we stop here, then it is like most other religions. If we just stop until dharma, then we will, this is how most religions qualify whether you go to hell or heaven, swarga, narka, and other things. But there is another fundamental addition to this, and that addition is that why we follow the path of dharma is that the one who follows that dharma is the one who is closer to divine. the one who gets God's grace, and the one who will also be qualified to get that highest teachings. So this is where, like the why Arjuna was closer to Krishna than Duryodhana. Arjuna wanted the Lord's grace. So Arjuna wanted to be with the Lord. So at the beginning, at this stage, he's not yet accepted Krishna as his guru. He's just accepted him as a mentor, friend, and other things. Only when he realizes that he is not able to resolve these life dilemmas, then he realizes I need to turn to Lord as the guru. Krishna is the Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam, he says, I am your disciple. Show me the way, guide me the right way. So then is when Lord starts giving the teaching that will come in the second chapter. So now let us look at the first mantra, and this mantra is a very important mantra from a different ways. So first we will chant the mantra. So Dhritarashtra Uvacha, the whole of Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtra telling to Sanjaya. He's asking Sanjaya this question, and this question is a very deep, profound psychological and spiritual question, which we will look at it later. So what is he asking? Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha. So Dharma kshetra means that which is that center of spiritual activities. Like many times we say, India is Dharma kshetra, and especially within India, we say all the holy places, like Varanasi, Kashi, Ayodhya, and here Rishikesh, Haridwar. All these are called as sacred places. So here, this he's saying, he's making it in a very general sense that Kurukshetra, he's saying, the place called Kurukshetra. It is even today, this place is there in India. It is Kurukshetra, and in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, Dharmakshetra is saying. And what is this Dharmakshetra? Means that this is a center of Dharma, where Dharma and Adharma is being done, but it is that place to see where Dharma is being done at all. Yuyutsavaha. The, the armies are gathered wanting to fight. They are gathered with that sense that they will fight each other. So Samaveta, they have gathered, assembled. Sorry. Okay. Who are gathered? He says, Mamakav Pandavas cha. My ones and Pandavas. So when he's saying my ones, whom is he referring to? He's referring to Kauravas. Mamakaf, he's referring to Kauravas. But there is more symbolism to that. Pandavas Chaiva and Pandavas. When the Pandavas and Kauravas gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is also the Dharmakshetra, what did they do? Kimakurvata? Sanjaya. Sanjaya is asking Sanjaya. What did they do, Sanjaya? He's asking. So this is where it says that assembled on Kurukshetra, the center of religious activity, desires. What did they do, and what did my people and Pandavas do? So this is now literally the meaning. But now there is two aspects to this. The main words we have to focus on this is, one is Dharmakshetra. What is the Dharmakshetra he's referring to? Why doesn't he just say it is Kurukshetra? Why is he saying Dharmakshetra? That is one thing that many people are discussed, many acharyas have discussed. And then the other thing is, why is he saying my people and Pandavas? Why not Kauravas and Pandavas? And what did they do? So these words, all of you should try to remember. Now we will go a bit deeper into understanding this. Now, traditionally, the first chapter and the first few shlokas of the second chapters, the many Vedantic acharyas have not given much commentary on. There's very little commentary you will see by many Vedantic acharyas on this. But yet, from the context of sadhana, from the context of yoga and other kind of sadhana predominant commentaries, there's a lot written on this first shloka. Hmm. So today we will look at a little bit more from that yogic and the kind of sadhaka context of what this means. Hmm. So what here it is meant is the whole of Mahabharata, all the characters are symbolic of something. Just take this off. So the basically each of the characters in Mahabharata, they represent something. They are symbolic of something. So here we will just look at this shloka. What are they referring to? So here that what he is referring to, Sanjaya, Sanjaya is that person, is that narrator. The narrator has to be impartial, right? He's just telling what is happening. He doesn't. He's supposed like a commentator in some match, cricket match or tennis match. That person starts taking bias, then he will not give a proper commentary. Similarly, here Sanjay is supposed to be unbiased. He is giving a commentary. So, what is this unbiased thing? This is that unbiased aspect of ourselves, where we are able to honestly assess ourselves. Now, what is the representation here of what is the battle we are referring to? The battle is not the battle outward, it is the battle within. So, here the reference to the battle, reference to what is the battle of Dharma comes at different levels, but we can take at three levels. One is there is a physical level of battle. What is the physical level of battle, we may say, between Pandavas and Kauravas? No. For an individual, the physical level of his body is the battlefield. And that Dharmakshetra means his body and mind is the battlefield. So that the physical level, the battle is going on. Like how do I act? What kind of actions I carry out? In a harmony with that truth or in harmony with my desires, my ego. So this is the one level. The second level of battle. So the battle is happening again at multiple levels here. One is the physical level. Then there is a battle happening at the psychological level, mental level within each of us. So within that level, there is that good intentions, that positive things I want to do. And then there is that desires and other my ego, my desires. They're pulling me in another direction. So that is the psychological level of warfare that is going on. And from a yogic sense, the battle is not just about ego and things. The battle is about our good samskaras and bad samskaras, our good intentions and our bad habits. So this is Abhinav Gupta. He's Kashmiri Shaivism. He's written about them. So in his commentary, he says, what is the battle about? He says it's Raga, Vairagya, Krodha, Kshema, Prabhrithinam, Samagame, Yatra Tasmin Stito Ye Mamaka, Avidya Purushochita, Avidya Yamaha, Sankalpa Pandava, शुद्ध विद्या पुरुषोचित vidyatmanaha. So te kima kurvata. So what he's saying is that there are two kind at the psychological level, the battle that is going on between what is called as mamaka, mind. What is this mind? The sense of me and mine is coming from ignorance. That body and mind identified ego tells that this is me, this is mine, and that kind of a personal that ignorance based thing, what does it do? It gives you in each case there is raga, raga dvesha. I like something, I don't like something. Compared to that Pandavas, what is the Pandavas representing? They are representing that action from knowledge. They are the persons who have gained knowledge, who want to walk the path of righteousness. So how do they act? They are based on vairagya. They don't have attachment to material desires. So whether you give them $10 or $1 million, they know a lie is not worth a lie. You don't want to cheat your friend, your partner, your guru, and all those things. Why? Because that is not the dharmic way, and so they are committed to that. That knowledge is making them walk that path of righteousness. So what are they driven by? They're driven by sankalpa, he says. They're not driven by just their samskaras, that wrong samskara. So the samskaras for a avidya person and a sankalpa of a jnani person. This is the fundamental difference here at the psychological level. And then there is the spiritual level. What is the spiritual level? There is within spiritual level there are two levels, sub levels. The first level is our past karma. Hmm? That past karma is driving us in like a whole force of worldly current. We are swept away. And based on that past karma, our life circumstances, our situations, a lot of things get determined. So there is no choice, apparently, it seems. So this is where, many people say there is no such thing as free will because everything is ordained, they say, determinism, the philosophy of determinism. But then there is this conflicting, this is where, from a spiritual point, we say, no, there is other things that saves us. What is it? It is called as God and Guru's kripa, uh, grace, blessing. So based on that blessing, what happens? That wisdom awakens in us. We are able to walk the path of wisdom based on the blessings, the guidance, and all that given. So that is at one level. The higher level is that basic fundamental ignorance of myself. This is more closer to what we say the Vedantic thing. The battle is between I identify as the ego, and the ego means I identify as the body, mind, and my personality. Or I identify as pure consciousness, as Lord, as the same consciousness as Lord. So this is the highest level of battle. So at all levels the battle are going on, but a most spiritually advanced person focuses at the highest level, knowing that once I remove that ajnana, once I realize the truth of myself, then all these other things will somehow get taken care of. But on the journey to there, so this is where there is the goal is already attained, but yet we have to walk to that path. So this is the on that journey to that, we have to fight the psychological battle as well. Psychological, metaphysical, sociological, physical, and all these battles we have to fight. So this fight is not literally the fight just between Pandavas and Kauravas. So for the sake of a story, it is the fight between Pandavas and Kauravas. But what is it really talking about? This battle is the battle within us. Every day, every hour, every moment, we have choices. We are faced with choices. Like today, we had a choice whether we want to come to this class or we can go watch a movie or do something. And when we wake up in the morning, we have a choice, whether you'll go back to bed or you'll do something productive. And as you go further, you have a choice whether you will just do something productive in a worldly sense or in a spiritual sense. So, all these are multiple series of choices that follow one another. Sometimes one choice will determine a lot of your follow up choices. But sometimes, even in the follow up choices, there is a mini choice, you know. So, this is where, that this symbolism is helpful for us, although in a traditional Vedantic sense, we don't talk much about that. So the what is it representing in a more literal sense is that these are the there is a symbolic things also told of Pandavas and Kauravas. So Kauravas generally are those who are representing the mind and the sense-based inclinations, which is driven by samskaras, which is driven by our tendencies, proclivities. We don't have much choice in that. Pandavas represent that buddhi aspect of us. The so the father of Pandavas, called as Pandu. So he represents the buddhi aspect, meaning the intellect aspect, where we have a choice, we can make decisions. The Kauravas represent the mind and the senses aspect, which are driven by just our past samskaras. Mind sees something and mind runs towards it. If it is a fearful object, it will run away from that. But the intellect can pause, can decide, can discriminate, and choose. So these offsprings of Pandu, called as Pandavas, right? Each of them further represent this intellect-based aspect, starting with the Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is the first of them. So he is the first one and he walks the path of Dharma. So he represents predominantly the Viveka aspect. In order to do Dharma, you should have Viveka. Viveka is that power of discernment to choose what is right. Uh, Generally, from Vedantic context, we say Nitya Nitya Viveka. But there's a lot of further things also in our daily life. Every little things we can use Viveka. And then the Bhima, the second son, the second Pandava, he represents mostly that prana shakti, for that intellect to function and carry out its decision. It needs that power of prana to which can also manifest as when in a devotee it manifests as shraddha. Shraddha means like we know that what is right, we follow that what is right, an intuitive sense of faith, an intuitive sense of right, resolute decisions in our life. And then Arjuna, who is the main character. Arjuna here represents, predominantly Arjuna represents the Atma Bala from a Vedantic context. Atma Bala means that power to carry out that intention, that what we call sometimes as the power of resilience. But it is also the power of sense, that self-control, to carry forth, which all a yogi is known for that, right? A yogi, Arjuna represents a supreme yogi here, hmm, because he has that power to withstand titiksha, carry out that, and that's how he became the greatest archer. He has that power to go through different tests, different challenges. He has a self control to carry out his intentions. So that is the representation of Arjuna. And then the Nakula Sahadeva, they represent the Shama and Dama, the two aspects, the power to control our mind in relation to senses, and that power to restrain the senses from going out. Hmm? Like if you're sitting in meditation, you hear sounds, then you don't, if you allow the mind to go with that, then the shama is not there. And then if you get up and walk away, the dhamma is not there. So these are the representatives of Pandavas. Kauravas, as I mentioned, predominantly represent the sense-based inclinations. And most important in this is Duryodhana, who represents that sensual desires, material desires. So these are the different kind of things. So now when we look at it from this context, what is the battle? The battle is the battle right within us, between our self-egoistic, sense-based desires and that path of virtue, that path of walking on the intellect thing, whether we follow the mind and our likes and dislikes, or we follow the intellect in doing what is right or what is wrong. So this is a fundamental thing. And so in our today there is no time for that, but in our Gita Mananam, the question, I will put that in the group. The Mananam, the first Mananam is a question we ask ourselves. In my own daily routine of life, when my body identify tendencies such as desire, anger, fear, jealousy, were challenged by my deeper urge for freedom and the wisdom gathered from scriptures and teachers, what did I follow? Kimakurvata Sanjaya, as he asks in that. Which force did I follow? My sense based desires or my intellect based knowledge? What are my battles in daily life where my bad habits and harmful patterns overrule my noble aspirations and resolutions? So, my sankalpa, I have taken a sankalpa that I will walk this path, I will walk towards freedom, I will walk towards that which leads me to peace, wisdom. Or my daily things to say, let us enjoy, seize the day, have fun. So will I walk that? So that is the two divergent thing. That one is a sense-based mental desires, other is intellect-based discernment. So this is a fundamental question that the whole of Gita unfolds from here. The whole of Gita teachings unfolds from here. So we will stop it at this. And next class, which will be on Tuesday, we will go a little further into the shloka based on few more commentaries and points and few more symbolisms to fully understand this. And after we finish this first two shlokas, then we will go a little faster. We will just not go so deep until the second chapter, because once the second chapter starts, then there is a lot of commentaries from teachers, no? From different. So this thing generally, from most Vedantic thing, many teachers don't focus much on this. But from a point of sadhana, this first sloka is very important. This is the question that every sadhaka should ask at the end of every day, or when you wake up in the morning of our day, to that Sanjaya who is right within us. That inner seer, that unbiased witness within us can tell us the different levels of battles that is going on within us in the body, mind, and at the level of our ego and soul. Okay, any quick questions we will take, but next class we can take more. But if there's any brief questions anybody has, you're welcome to ask. Yeah, Michael. Yes.
Swamiji, when you were going through the offspring of the Pandavas, you finished by speaking about Shama and Dama. Who did
Yeah.
you say who did you say of the offspring represent Shama and Dama?
Yeah, Nakula and Sahadeva. Nakula represents Shama, and Sahadeva represents Dhamma.
Thank you.
So they are sometimes we can also take as Yama Niyama, from a Yoga Sutra context, somewhat similar. But Shama and Dhamma is a little different from Yama and Dhamma. Yama Niyama, sorry. Yeah. Anybody else? So there is a different kind of people have come up with different representations of this, because lot of people have done this thing, where they have talked about each character representing different things. But this is the more like you can say a sadhaka or a yogic symbolism. Each character in Mahabharata, especially with respect to Gita, represents something within us. Hmm? Okay. All right. Anything else? Any quick question? If not, we will do the closing prayer and then we can. Okay. I'll just do the closing prayers and just stay on for 1 minute. I'll just make a small announcement after this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so the for this Bhagavad Gita classes, the